Well, welcome to Future Ready Live, where we talk about topics that help CPAs, CGMAs, and their organizations adapt and thrive in this accelerating, exponentially changing world. I'm your host, Barry Payne. I'm Regional Vice President Americas here at AICPA and CIMA, the largest global professional body of accountants and finance professionals in the world. Tom Hood, your regular host, is, what I'd like to say, on assignment today. And this gives me a really good opportunity to introduce you to Mike Whitmire, the Chief Executive of Flowcast. Today, we'll be talking about the redefined, reimagined role of the corporate controller, the huge opportunity presented by AI, and the importance of supporting the next generation of accounting professionals. Mike, say hello to the audience.
Awesome. Well, Barry, thank you for having me on today. I hope Tom is enjoying some time off. I hope assignment is some time off for him. But yeah, I really appreciate you having me. I'm excited to be chatting with the AICPA here. And yeah, great overview. I guess, do you mind if I take like 2 minutes to tell the audience about Flowcast, a little bit about
let's get it going immediately. Go ahead.
Perfect. Mike. Awesome. Well, I am a CPA by trade. I started my career at Ernst & Young here in Los Angeles. Since I'm in LA, decided to audit some entertainment companies, which was a lot of fun. Got to see private, public companies, music labels, production, film production, TV, all that good stuff. Made it about 4 years and then ultimately left public accounting. I did get my CPA. I was active for a minute there. Today, I am an inactive CPA. I have not stayed up on my CPE courses, but I took that knowledge from EY and went over to a tech company that was about a year out from the IPO. I was the 5th person hired in the accounting department, which was an incredible learning experience for me. I actually worked more hours than I worked at EY, which I didn't realize was possible, but I did, and it was an amazing learning experience, amazing journey for me. I was there for about 3 years. The company was called Cornerstone On Demand. First year was really getting ready to go public and getting to go through that experience, working with the SEC, getting the financial statements issued, but like ERP in place, month-end close process, scaling the team, getting ready to go public, then ultimately going public. Got to be involved in SOX compliance, scaling the organization. And then one day, I just had this epiphany, hey, the month-end close and reconciliation process is a huge pain for us. It's causing us problems downstream as it gets to SEC reporting and Sarbanes-Oxley compliance and board reporting. And so just kind of had that classic entrepreneur moment of, oh, there's got to be a better way to do this. Looked around, didn't really see any software that was super helpful for accountants to get that, really that workflow side down. In the areas of accounting where we collaborate as a team to try to get all of our work done in concert to then issue financial statements, I didn't see a good application for that. So left my job in 2013, started working on Flowcast. And that was really our baseline product, was a workflow solution, including checklists where you could assign work off to people, track your reconciliations, automate that tie-out process between Excel workbooks and your ERP, and help you close the books faster and then issue those financial statements that much faster. So that was the founding of the story. We took our product out to market in 2015. Fast forward to today, we are heavily venture funded. We have about 800 employees. We've raised over 300 million to date. Global company. We have about 40 employees out in London. We have about 20 in Sydney. Main offices in the United States are headquartered in Los Angeles. About 120 people here, then 50 in New York, new office in Chicago, fire one up in Austin. And today we support over 3,300 clients using Flowcast, which this is mind-boggling to me. We're about to hit 100,000 accountants actually using Flowcast on a regular basis, which is a very, very fun statistic to go after.
That's enough to fill a big American stadium, that is.
That hit me last week like a ton of bricks. I actually just heard that stat for the first time, and that's very cool.
That is absolutely massive. I'm so glad we're speaking, because my chosen specialist subject at the moment is the future of the controller. If you imagine your career route from public into industry, that mimics a lot of the members that work in this space. But the reason why we got acquainted was actually through a mutual friend called Neil Brown. And I want to touch on this because I want to touch on the work that you do with Neil and the Controllers Council and how you guys got to learn about this wonderful initiative called Controllers for a Cause. So first of all, just tell us a little bit about your partnership with Neil and the Controllers Council.
Yeah, so working with Neil's been great. I actually remember Flowcast, we were, I think, a few years into our journey when Controllers Council was getting started. So I met Neil in like a startup capacity. They were just getting things off the ground. I remember learning about their vision and the mission and thought this is exactly what Flowcast is all about. We didn't feel like there were a ton of great meetups or learning opportunities for controllers. A lot is focused on the CPA profile. Hey, how do we stay up to date on guidance or taxes or things like that? But not as much in the operational lens, or how do I manage a team? How do I hire, recruit, retain talent to be able to scale my accounting operations, really? And so we were actually at the time considering like, how much should we do this? And then we got introduced to Neil and we were like, oh, Neil's very good at this. Let's let him do it, and we can just support him through that journey. So we've worked with Controllers Council in a variety of ways, from doing webcasts and recordings with them to sponsoring them over the years. But it's really an audience that we care deeply about, controllers and accounting managers. And on a personal level, I'm all about helping with career progression as well. So I get to spend a lot of time helping with teaching about how to get to the next stage of your career. A lot of controllers do want to become CAOs or CFOs. And so there's broader discussion around how to expand your skill set from there. So it's been a lot of fun partnering with them. And then Controllers for a Cause, I would say what I love about that one is it really helps address one of the underlying issues we have in accounting, which is a lack of talent. Quite frankly, we're having people leave the profession. Not as many people are majoring in accounting as they have in the past. I will caveat that with this year is the first time we've seen an uptick in accounting majors versus prior years. So that's really nice. That's really nice to see that going on. But I expect we'll have more people retiring. We'll have more people leaving the profession. The economy is going to continue to expand. So we'll have more of a need for accountants. And so we'll want to continue supporting that effort and really help get more people into the profession and help them remain engaged with the role as well.
I think it's absolutely amazing that you're leaning into the Controls for a Cause. I was speaking at an event in Cleveland last Friday, in actual fact. So those people that remember me, hi. And it was a bunch of controllers in a particular sector. And we all agreed that it's a fantastic business career destination of choice. And we also felt there's an opportunity to perhaps expand pathways and routes into the likes of controllership. And I'm glad that you mentioned the whole rise to the CAO and the rise to the CFO. But one of the things that we discussed at length, of course, and I know that you guys at Flowcast are absolute experts on this, is the integration of technology and the place and the role of AI, Gen AI, and then outputs from Gen AI within the actual process of controllership and business decision making. So I want to take you to an event that I believe is it Take Control is this week, is it? It's coming.
Yes. Yep. On September 17th and 18th.
Yeah. So tell the audience a little bit about Take Control, because the sessions look absolutely fantastic. And then I actually wanted to kind of just get your view on a couple of sessions that I saw of interest. So first of all, talk about the Take Control.
Yeah, so Take Control is our annual user conference. We do it remotely. It's all hosted virtually, so please feel free to sign up and check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. Not every session is going to be for you, but a lot are probably going to be applicable to you. So feel free to pop in and out and check out whatever you're interested in. A big topic of discussion is around AI. So if you want to dig into that a little further, would be happy to do that. But yeah, super popular event. It's gotten bigger and better every single year. I believe this is the 8th one that we've hosted. I get to interview Tony Hawk as a part of it. Fun part of my job now is we get to use our marketing budget to hire people that I get to interview. So that's a lot of fun. We'll be interviewing Tony Hawk. And yeah, it's a great event. And by the way, a lot of CPE credits available by attending as well. So if you'd like to remain active as a CPA, we can help you do that through Take Control.
It all helps. Skateboarding helps as well, obviously. But there's one of the sessions which was called Beyond the Numbers. And I just like the title of that. So how do you, like, top line, see the evolving expectations of controllership, especially in this digital world where we're trying to kind of, I almost call it, create a mindset shift from optimization, stewardship, fiduciary into more kind of value-driven controllership and harnessing technology. So what's that session about? What's Beyond the Numbers to you?
Beyond the numbers to me is, there's a lot of debate around accounting becoming strategic, and I think there's a lot of opportunity for that, but I still think there's a ton of room to go within the operational excellence side of accounting. So oftentimes, and this was myself included, is you have so much to get done. You're just trying to get done with the month end close and then maybe breathe a little bit before the next one starts after that. And that's sort of the world we want to help move away from. And that's where we think AI is going to play a really big role in making that happen. So I look at kind of operational efficiency and strategic value are sort of one and the same, because to be strategic, you need time to think about stuff. To have time to think about stuff, you need to drive operational efficiency first. So it's really, it all plays together. And that's where I'll plug the Flowcast platform. I think broadly speaking, when you use a platform like Flowcast, as well in conjunction with a lot of our AI embedded solutions, that allows you to automate some of that mundane work and pick your head up a little bit and think strategically about the transactions that you're booking. So even be strategic about the transaction level work you're doing, but then also be that partner to your CAO or your CFO or the board and help tell a little bit of a story behind the numbers and help be that really impactful for the executive levels as well. So it's sort of one and the same. It's interesting.
It's totally, because it's kind of the yin and the yang. In order to do one, you really need to think about the other, but you can't think about the other unless you do, that kind of thing. So you must have seen various different examples on your platform and others about how controllership is actually embracing generative AI. Do you have one or two quick examples of where you see practically, tangibly this making a difference?
Yeah. So generative AI is, to me, really promising, but then also specifically being applied to accounting is really scary to me. The idea of, like, at the most extreme levels, right? If we take a step back, anyone who's not done accounting before, they would have the assumption that I could go to a large language model and type, like, produce my financial statements, and it should just be able to spit out based on all the data that exists, whatever. I think if you've been in the weeds, you understand it's a little more complicated than that, and we're probably pretty far away from a world where that exists. So I more so view AI as an incredible tool for helping us drive automation within my accounting department. There are certainly use cases that are more agentic and where you're relying on the judgment of generative AI and the models that are going on behind the scenes. But anytime you're interjecting that into a process or a workflow, we need to have a human in the loop reviewing and approving any work that's being done by AI, because at the end of the day, we're all audited still. And we all go back, and at the end of the day, we're going to get audited whenever, quarterly, annually, however frequently you have to do it. We need to think about audit readiness and how we're using technology. And that is where AI presents the most risk if it's not used properly within an application. So where I actually think there's a ton of opportunity with AI is to leverage these models to level up accountants and controllers and allow them to automate their own work. And fortunately, in our research with AI, what we found it's really stellar at is writing software code. So allowing you to just type whatever you want to have done, and then it can produce code to help you automate that specific thing that you want to get done. And so we've built a platform where you're able to go out and just in English, natural language, go ahead and type out work that needs to get done. We then produce software code for you behind the scenes that is repeatable and auditable. It helps you automate whatever mundane task you have going on. And then because it sits within the broader Flowcast platform, that's really where you can start to automate end-to-end processes. And once you can start to automate end-to-end processes and elevate any judgment calls that have to be made to the controller or the senior accountant or even the staff accountant, quite frankly, that's where you can really start to save time and also make the job more strategic and more interesting for your staff and your team members.
And this is the big final question I've got for you. Yeah. We talk a lot, Tom and I, about the rise of the T-shaped controller. Now, for you controllers out there, I have a bit of a laugh because it's nothing to do, Mike, with T accounts. It happens to be a bit of a T. The idea being that the stumpy bit of the T is your technical prowess. It's kind of your table stakes, plus an increased amount of digital literacy and a mindset around that. And then this is a capital T, by the way. So the horizontal part of the T that sits on top is all about those partnering, softer skills that you need in order to affect business decisions, such as critical thinking, strategic thinking, communication, collaboration, storytelling. What do you see the key mindsets or skills that you think that controllers need to focus on in order to embody that notion of a T-shaped controller?
So I would, first of all, something like a flowcast, the idea here is that we want to be able to give senior accountants or accounting managers, kind of more that level, the ability to go in and automate their own work, and manage that automation, and then really own those tools. So we want as much software to be owned by the accounting department as possible, and review work that would be done today. So for example, let's say there's a journal entry that has to be booked and there's a judgment call that's being made within that journal entry. Maybe it's new to the business. That's where the controller oftentimes, they'd have to review and approve that because that work's being done by the accounting manager or the senior accountant. In a new world with Flowcast, that senior accountant or accounting manager has written the software that automates the kind of repeatable part of that job. And then it just surfaces the new part of it to them. Now, the senior accountant or accounting manager, they're now going to have time, and there's going to be appropriate segregation of duties for them to be able to review the judgment call within that workflow. And that to me is the fun stuff. Like, oh, something new happened. Let me think critically about it. Was that done properly? Yes or no? If yes, then we also want to automate that going forward. If no, we need to reject it and go correct how that work was done and do it properly. So now all of a sudden that little review judgment call, the more fun critical thinking part, is done by the accounting manager. Controller gets to level up and think differently about where they can help, right? Because they don't have to do that type of work anymore. So now what we've found is, in terms of operational efficiency, a lot of our clients who have rolled out Flowcast, they accelerate the close to the point where the only remaining open item to help them close faster is really other departments getting their work done faster. And accounting is one of the few departments that interacts with every other department within a company. It's like HR, IT, and accounting. They're the three that sort of work with everybody. And oftentimes, for better or for worse, and this was my experience, is accounting is not the number one priority for other departments. No. Certainly not number one. No. So by giving the controller a little more time to spend with other department heads, helping drive cross-functional efficiency, they can either just force the issue a little bit and get that information they need for their team to do their work, or you can start to build automation solutions for those other teams. Like, for example, Flowcast is a software company. One of our big journal entries is our capitalized software journal entry. And that requires us working with our engineers to understand what percentage of your time went to bug fixes versus new products versus developer operations versus like admin support, things like that. And then we have to get information from them, start to run our calculations and do all of that. As a CEO, I'm also pushing them to write more software and get that out. So they're not necessarily prioritizing a journal entry that has to get booked on a quarterly basis until you nag them enough to get it done. That's kind of the reality of how it works in practice. So now you either have more time as a controller to do that, or you can then work with your team to automate some workflows and get that information from them faster and easier to help your accounting team get their job done. So I look at that as kind of the final bottleneck, is then ultimately other departments or those who are not within your company as well. Like, lawyers are notorious for not getting bills to you on time, and legal accruals are really challenging. And so, having something to help push them along is important. Then you can start to really drive a shorter and shorter close. And once you feel really confident about that and like there's no more room for improvement, you can start to think really strategically and be a higher order thinker to be a partner to the CFO at that point.
I think, just to conclude, Mike, I don't think there's ever been a better time to be in the controllership space, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. And to have that real level of business impact. And, I would invite anyone on this call to, DM me or link in with me and Mike to really focus on what skills, what capabilities, but above all, what mindsets you need to develop. And just the last thing about last Friday, when I was talking to these controllers, we spoke a lot about entry-level talent and how entry-level talent needs to be redefined, basically based off what you've just said. And then the opportunity to develop a curiosity with safety amongst people that are a little bit more experienced in the profession that haven't come through that kind of that digital native kind of generation or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think it's such an exciting time. But talking about exciting, we've left our audience with enough material for today. I'm loving by the comments that are taking place on LinkedIn right now. And, please do continue to engage.
Do you mind if I touch on the entry level
conversation? Very briefly. Otherwise,
I'll keep it brief. There's a view that entry-level accounts aren't going to be hired very much anymore. And I actually reject that notion a little bit. I think that if you believe in Flowcast's view of the future, people coming fresh out of college are going to be insanely effective with Flowcast. And that's because they're going to be tech forward, understand technology better than a lot of people. They kind of come from an AI native world. They're able to use it.
Yeah.
And then where the human element comes into play is fascinating because it's actually a lot more akin to what we learned in college now. It's more textbook type accounting, whereas the world I entered at EY, not much of what I learned in college was applicable on day one of my job at EY. Now, if you join industry, all of a sudden it's thinking about gap knowledge and how are journal entries being booked properly. And that's actually the stuff you learn in college. So I think there's going to be, it's a really exciting opportunity. And I would encourage controllers to please continue hiring entry-level students. Like they're going to be very good at this future of work if they're given the right tools.
Without absolute doubt, you've got to strategically continue to grow.
Totally.
I think there's never been a better business case. And Mike, I'm so glad that you're thinking that way.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for being with me today, by the way. Thanks for all the work that your organization does, especially with Neil at the Controllership Council. But, genuinely from our heart, Controls for a Cause. It's just a wonderful cause. I invite everyone to look it up and to see what we're doing to help nurture the next generation of professionals. You can find us both on LinkedIn, by the way, both Flowcast, Mike and myself. Thank you for joining me. Of course, we're here every other Tuesday. Tom, either Tom or myself, will be back here on LinkedIn in 2 weeks' time. And for then, see you then. Take care, everyone.